Hey Warriors, AC here. Welcome to a new episode of Warrior Talks. This is the podcast where we talk about everything and anything in a fun and powerful way. Today I'm here with Bryan from Full Body Athletics. He is a coach, business owner, naturopath, and a good friend. How you doing, Bryan?
Very good, and yourself?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here at your gym once again, doing some great content, right? So I want to start off by asking you about your athletic background.
Right.
How did you get in sports and stuff like that?
So funny enough, I was into sports at a young age because my brother and my dad were always talking about sports at home. My dad, he's from a Portuguese background. He's a big fan of a club called Benfica. If you know it, they're often in the Champions League and not very far. They get to the quarters and the semis, but still, they're there every year. In our household, it was sports and food, So we always talk about sports, always talk about food. So I got into soccer pretty young. I would play in whatever leagues, junior leagues here in Montreal. But I was never into. I used to like group sports, but I've always felt like it was a pain in the ass when, for example, you would have some kids that had more talent than you and would play more. Or I didn't like the fact that if we were winning a game by like 2 goals and then like 1 or 2 mistakes and it's back in our net, and it's like, and I understand like at a young age, you don't understand like the whole like team aspect, right? So I was playing soccer all the way until 12, 13 years old. And then in high school, we had a judo program in high school. So I started doing judo all throughout my high school from Sec 1 all the way to Sec 5. In Sec 3, so I was about 14, 15 years old, my cousins started training at a gym called Fit for Life, which is a gym that is now closed down. And they started training, and I remember them training and coming back home and talking about their experience and so forth. And then one day I helped my uncle move from his house in Montreal to Laval. And I remember in that day, he had one of his friends that was a bodybuilder that was there. And I remember just staring at the guy like the whole move, And I was like so amazed by his body. I never seen somebody with like such muscle definition and just such elegance in terms of his body, you know what I mean? I really felt like, holy smacks, like the guy is even talking and he's talking, So he's taking place, right? So from there, I was about 15, 16. I started training, and the rest is history. I was training bodybuilding with judo from 15 all the way to 21. I got to 20 years old. I wanted to try something different. I found CrossFit. So I started doing CrossFit competitively for a gym here in Laval called CrossFit Laval. So for 2 years, I was doing CrossFit competitively, training twice a day, 6 days a week, and going to university and having, having girlfriends at the time or girlfriend at the time. And when people tell me, I don't have time to train, I was like, dude, I was like part of committees and I was working 2 jobs and I was training twice a day and competing and like when you're competing at that level, right? It's the whole background of the training. Also, it's like you need to sleep your 8 hours. You cannot mess around with sleeping 6 hours because it's gonna show on your performance. You need to eat properly. So I was eating six times a day, eating broccoli and chicken and sweet potato. I swear, like 4 times a day. It was crazy. My mom used to help me meal prep and stuff because I was competing, right? So I was always training so hard throughout the year. So I did that from 22 to 24, 25, and then I got some injuries, okay? Nothing too crazy, but enough to set me back for a couple of months. And then I said, maybe CrossFit is not for me anymore just because it's an amateur sport, right? And, for you to get injured playing an amateur sport, it's like playing soccer in a beer league. You want to get injured? Not really, right? So I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm 24 and I'm just wrecking my body for what? It's, yes, for the glory, but, it's like, before you get the actual glory in CrossFit, it's like, it takes years and years and years of commitment. And now kids are starting CrossFit at 12, 13, 14, which is normal, right? Like, for you to be at the highest level, you have to start pretty young. But back in our days, because it just had came out, it was like we were all already in our early 20s or mid 20s, you know what I mean? So it's
What
like,
years was this?
this was, okay, so I'm 33 today, so this is 10 years ago, so this is like 2014, 2013. So yeah.
Around the Matt Fraser era?
Yeah, exactly. Around the Matt Fraser era. Exactly. So, Matt Fraser, Jason Khalipa, you know, those big names. So, yeah, those were the first guys that I looked up to. So, and then I got a couple of nagging injuries. And then as I was doing, as I was going to university, I was still training, but then I was mixing both aspects of CrossFit, but also aspects of bodybuilding. And then I came up to my own routine, which is now today called full body, which is like, that's all I do is full body. And that's it.
Nice. So, yeah, a lot of CrossFit competing.
CrossFit, bodybuilding, judo, and then boxing all throughout my 20s too. I was doing boxing all my 20s. I've been a boxing coach now for 4 or 5 years. So boxing also, I got into it. Boxing and kickboxing, I got into it right after judo because I was looking for that kind of like that athletic. CrossFit was giving me the power, giving me the strength, but I still felt like, man, like, okay, I look jacked and I can run and I can pull, you know, and I can push, but it's like, but I also want to still know to defend myself, you know. So during in my 20s, I was doing boxing maybe once a week, and then I got a bit more serious twice a week, and then I just kept that, and then did kickboxing, did a bit of jiu-jitsu. But yeah, just a whole array. And I think for anybody to become a really good coach in terms of fitness, you need to do it all. You need to try it all, because it's like there's no one method that's the best method, even though I think mine is the best, but there's no method that's the best method. You got to try it out, and then you have to see what fits more of your style, you know. Because I know some great boxing coaches that try to be great athletic coaches, that doesn't always work out. And I know some guys that don't know how to box and they're teaching boxing classes, which doesn't make sense too, right? So you need to find the middle ground. For
sure. And with all your experience, you develop your own training method that you teach.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, I've been doing this since I'm 15 years old. Now I'm 33 and life goes by fast. It's 18, more than half my life I've been training, you know, 5 times a week, 6 times a day. When I was in CrossFit, I was at my peak. I was training 6 times a week, twice a day. It's 12 hours. You know, it's 12 hours a week of training. You know, it's a lot of work. But then what was cool about that experience with CrossFit was that CrossFit taught me like the importance of performance for motivation as an athlete, right? We often, I always tell people, like, in my job, I don't sell fitness. What I sell is motivation, inspiration, showing that consistent hard work gets to places. That's what I'm selling. I'm not selling fitness because I cannot compete with fitness. I cannot compete with the Econo Fitnesses and the Nautilus Plus that have millions of dollars in budget and they can buy the best equipment in the world. What I'm trying to work with and push people is motivation and inspiration and performance and all these things. Like, if you're training an athlete or just a normal person, right? And all they have as goal is to look better on the mirror, which is a super motivating thing to do, right? But you cannot disregard as a coach for motivation the importance of tracking performance throughout that phase, right? Because let's say if your client doesn't get to her results that month, maybe she was sick, maybe she was less consistent, whatever the reason could be, but her squat improved. Well, at least you have something to boost the person with, to be proud of, you can be like, listen, you didn't lose 5 pounds this month, okay, you lost 3 pounds, but look at your squat. You squatted 35 pounds each side this week. You squatted 115 pounds. That's great. Well, yeah, you're right, Brian, but if you don't track these indicators, it's like all you're basing your gym on is on results, but like everybody gets results in different times according to your hormones, your age, the amount of stress you have, etc.
Depending what the results you want are too.
Yeah, exactly. I have clients that come to me sometimes, they want to lose 20 pounds in a month. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. It's like, yes, you can do that, but you would be very sick, most probably. And second, it's like everything in life qui se gagne vite se perd vite. I believe in that. Right. Things that take a hard time for you to earn are going to most likely stick out in the long term. Things that you get very fast, you never get. you know, you lose it fast too, because you don't learn the lessons, and you don't learn the lessons in order to keep that you know, what you've built, kind of a thing. It's like, we see this, right, in NFL, right, or in the NFL, or these big leagues like NBA. Well, the NBA is a bit less bad than the NFL, but the NFL, for example, you have these players, right, coming out of university, they get a 3-year contract, they make millions, right? But then it's like, after 3 years, they've spent all their money. They have no money anymore. And then it's like, because you know, in the NFL, there's not too many guaranteed contracts. So if this player gets injured, he's not part of the team anymore, even though he's a great talent, right? So because of that, a lot of these players, after they've done their couple of years of NFL, they're completely broke, because they didn't learn, you know, from one day to another, they became multimillionaires. So you don't learn how to manage your money. You don't learn how to, versus somebody that maybe is an entrepreneur, starts his business at 25, and now he's 35, and then he's built his wealth slowly but surely. He's built his company up. Well, he's going to be a lot more solid in his foundations of money, and how to keep money, and how to spend money, and the ratios that you need in order to have success, than a person that makes 25 million from one day to another, right? Because all these things are different skills that you need to acquire to move up.
And you literally don't have time to process the money that just came in like,
yeah,
like,
and they're 21 years old, they're 22 years old, you know. That's why I don't say it's impossible. You need to have the right maturity, but like a lot of things in life, I think you can see people starting entrepreneurship in their early 20s, which is fine if they have the maturity, fine if they have the consistency. But I would like to say that for you to start a business, I know there's never an age to start a business. Like I mentioned, if you have consistency, if you have the discipline, and if you have the hard work ethic, fine. But I would say for a young kid today, or a person who wants to start his business, you know, do different jobs. Do it all. You know, go pick up trash. Go work at McDonald's. You know, do it all. You know, volunteer. Do it all. Meet people. You know, go around. See what businesses are working. What businesses are working. See what you like. See what you don't like. And then maybe starting at 25, then you can start thinking about maybe opening a business. Then what? Because you don't know who you are before you're 25 years old. There are some people, maybe like you, Adrian, that you're super mature for a young guy, you know, but not everyone's like you, you know. You probably see it in your entourage, right? But it's like, it depends on every person. But most people, I would say, you know, for young entrepreneurs, is like, start, you know, just do it all, try it all, work for anybody you see, and then you're gonna start from these experiences. You're gonna start learning a lot, because every experience you learn more about yourself. And then when you come to your 25 years old and you have that entrepreneurial aspect for you, then maybe start a business starting there, because then you're gonna be most likely know what the hell you want to start your business in, you know. Because it's like, I see so many young kids today, you know, they follow these social media stars, you know, influencers, and they are like, oh, he's doing drop shipping, let me do drop shipping. And after 1 week, he drops, you know, he literally drops it. Let me start Amazon FBA. They start Amazon FBA, 1 month later, they stop. You know, it's like, you need to know what you like. I believe in life, for you to have success, and it's not a burden, and you can, because you know it, Adrian, entrepreneurship is another word to say slavery, you know? It's a lot of hours. My girlfriend, you know, I'm recently right now in a relationship, and she's like, she always tells me, she's like, you work so hard. Like, people, they only see like the pluses, you know? And it's like, the amount of hard work that I put behind the scene, you better make sure that you like what you do, right? Because if you don't like what you do, and it has to be more than just money. Money has to be more of an inspiration, because money is not enough. You have to like what you do. You won't have the motor, you know, to push forward when things get tough if you don't like what you do, right? So like, do all the jobs you can, you know, try it all. And then when you get to 25 years old and you still have the entrepreneur side, and you still want to be an entrepreneur, even though you worked for businessmen and you worked for, and you've acquired ideas and traits and stuff like that, then maybe launch yourself in entrepreneurship. But entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
No, I totally agree. And you know, just what you said, it brings me back to something you said even earlier, when you were like studying, you were doing CrossFit, you were having multiple jobs, you had a relationship. like you were doing a lot of things, right?
A lot, yeah.
And there's a lot of people that will say you better focus on one thing rather than do a lot, right? And what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's
You're
a
kind
good.
of the opposite of that.
It's a great question. It's a great question. I guess it really depends on how you can work. But I'm a type of guy, I can do a lot, but when I do something, I focus. To a point that sometimes my friends, like, you know, they're like, dude, are you here? You know? And I'm like, no, I'm doing this right now. So as much as I could be very like, do a lot of things at the same time, because that's the way je carbure, you know, that's how I get my ick, I guess, you know. I like to do multiple things. I've always been like that. I've always been like that, even as a kid. I always like to do multiple things. But when I actually decide to do that one thing, even if it's an hour, I'm fully in, you know. So I think it's like, if you even notice, if my, you know, my friends can tell you, my girlfriend can tell you, or just people that are close to me. For example, when I give a class here at Full Body, I'm dialed in. There's nothing, you can text me, you can call me, I'm dialed in. There's nothing that can disturb me during that 3-hour process, that 2-hour process, whatever my classes I'm giving in that morning or that afternoon. So it's like, yes, I'm doing a lot of different things, but when I do that one thing, I stay focused. I think that's the most important thing. It's like, you can do a side business and do your job at the same time. As long as you're in the moment, when you get there, that's what counts, I think, you know. Because if you look at, you know, famous entrepreneurs like right now, like if you look at Alex Hormozi, how many things does he do, right? This guy is all over the place, right? But he says in his podcast, he's like, when I do that one thing, there's no distractions, you know. Yeah. So I think that's what's important.
I agree with you, but if I'm being like devil's advocate on this,
yeah,
one,
for sure.
Alex Hormozi, or you know, you look like Logan Paul, right? He's doing WWE, Prime,
yeah.
But they didn't start with a lot of things.
No,
like
for
Alex,
sure.
when he started out, he was focused on like his gym, right?
Yeah.
And Logan Paul, he was focused on Vine or
for sure,
YouTube or whatever. So you know, you kind of like become a jack of all trades, master of none, I feel. But I feel like you kind of like cracked the code on that.
Yeah, I feel like it really depends on every person, but I get what you mean, and it's true, because I have a lot of clients sometimes that start side business and they get overwhelmed. I really think that what you need to do is just, you know, spread out your worksheet, like we say, and just like, you know, if you are doing a couple things at the same time, you know, have it written down. And actually, when you get those things done, you know, and like anything in life, Adrian, you know it, start off small. Don't think you're gonna conquer the world and that you're gonna be this big time entrepreneur from day to day. Start off small. You know, I started, you know, training people outside, then went from my outside to my parents' garage, and from my parents' garage went to my brother's garage, and now I'm here, you know. And a couple of years, inshallah, will be, God willing, will be somewhere else, you know. But it's like, the goal is to always progress every day to become 1% better, but it depends on your psyche. It really depends on your psyche. But when it's been a couple of years that you've been an entrepreneur, I think the load, you can slowly see that your load you can do more. Like today, I could do a lot more in 5 hours than what I can do before, because before it was so much more taxing for me. But now I've developed the skills to do more. I write faster, I learn faster, I come up with ideas faster, because my brain is constantly on the go. And you must feel the same way too, right? When you do editing, videos, photos, you know how it is.
And it's like working out, right? When you start like squatting, it's gonna be hard. You're learning the movement.
Exactly.
But once like you're more advanced in, you just squat and
you can just squat. You can go heavier weight. You can squat. You can do a superset, a circuit. You know, with the squats. You know, it's like everything in life is a process. You know, when you're a baby, you start crawling, and then you start walking, and then you eventually start running, and then eventually you start running and cutting and turning and, you know, etc. And it's the same thing in life, you know. If you do start your side business, start off small, you know. Maybe do, you know, for example, there's one thing I always tell people is start off with your friends and family, you know. Get your experience there, whatever service, whatever thing that you're selling, start off by people that are closest to you, because you know they'll be honest with you. Hopefully they'll be honest with you. And then from there, you start spreading out. That's how I started. I started with colleagues that I used to work with, that wanted trainings. And I started training 1, 2 of them. I was like, hey, this could be maybe a valuable job down the road, And I started like that. But I didn't start training, people off the street, It doesn't work like that.
That's how I started too, just doing for products. And then there was like this friend's friend. He was doing launching like a product too, like a phone holder. So we took pictures with him.
There you go.
So little by little, we grew up. I grew up and got more experience.
Yeah, man. It's everything is about experience. I tell people sometimes when they start entrepreneurship, it's like, if you charge cheap, and if you want, don't charge at all. And I'll tell you why. Your first goal as an entrepreneur when you start off is to gain experience. Unless you've been in the domain for years and years and years. Like, for example, if you do ceramics, right? If you post, you put up ceramics on walls. Well, if you've been working in a company for 30 years doing ceramics every day, well, if one day you launch your business, you can obviously start charging people right off the bat because you have that experience, right? But if you're a person that doesn't have experience, like for you, for example, you're a photographer, a videographer, whatever, start off almost free,
That's what I did.
Yeah, and then people nowadays, they want to start off their business. Oh, no, I'm worth this. Adrian, when I started training people, and you can ask my first clients that were with me, I was charging $10 an hour. $10 an hour, Today, you can't even do a class here for $10 an hour. You understand what I mean? I started off $10 an hour, and then I went to 12, and then I went 15. And I was losing clients when I went from 10 to 12, 12 to 15. And we're talking about personal session, okay? But I also gained clients, and my experience started going up, and then I started slowly but surely started understanding that, hey, I'm becoming of value. Hey, sorry. People are coming to see me more and more. So then I started because my list, I was getting so busy that I couldn't even have time to do anything else. But start off slow. You're not a prince, you're not a princess. You're not worth millions, okay? Not yet. Like I said, unless you've been in business for 40, 50 years and you know what you're talking about, start off slow and build up from there, you know what I mean? And charge almost free. And what you have to get first is testimonials, people that enjoy working with you, and get experience. That's it. And then from there, once you start building that up, you start getting your testimonials, you start getting good results, people like you, well, then people are going to start talking about you. And then you'll be able to share that information maybe on social media. And then you start growing for real.
Yo, that is so true. You said exactly what I've been through. And another thing, like, even if you're very good, let's say like in my case, right, or in your case, you're training, you might be like, competing in CrossFit, bodybuilding,
right?
But we don't know you yet.
Exactly.
So you charge less or free because you need to build that trust with people.
Exactly.
And what also comes with that is talking skills. That's something I had to learn. Because I was studying in engineering, stuff like that, where you don't really talk to people. Right?
Yeah, for
you're
sure.
Like on your computer, you're like, we're a bunch of nerds.
Yeah.
So we don't really talk with people, and that's a skill I had to develop with time. I remember when I first started, I was so shy. I didn't really know what to say. I would stumble in my words. And now when I go and talk to someone, like I have this, I don't have like a written speech, right? But I know exactly what to say. I'm more charismatic, so you train your social skills too that way.
But you see, like, you tell me this now, and I kind of see it, but you've obviously upgraded, to a point that, to a person that maybe that, like me, I meet a lot of people during the day. So my job as a coach is to identify people's strengths and weaknesses off the bat, even though they don't tell me, right?
Right.
To read people. But if a person that's like not in this kind of domain that just meets you for the first time, they're not going to think, oh, this guy's a super shy guy, because you've developed those skills. But that's what it's all about, And I think like quick fixes don't work, Quick fixes don't work because whatever you get fast, you don't learn from, It's like if you can't win patience, you know. Patience is one through time or two time, you know.
Yeah, and
You know, it's
and the quick fix, what you said, and also like the hype, you know, of like you see a lot of these guys online. Maybe not as much now, or maybe I don't see them as much. But you know those ads or people, they're like somewhere in Bali and they have their laptop. They're like, yo, you could do drop shipping, for example.
Yeah.
I'm here in Bali. All you need is a laptop and internet connection,
Yeah.
and you can become rich. So everybody would be like, yo, that is so easy. It's quick, and I can do it like from anywhere, you know. So that doesn't work.
influences the young folks for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you know you're there. You're thinking that it's gonna come fast, and I'm gonna get all this glory. Exactly like the opposite of a successful business, like we said earlier.
Yeah, it takes time, man. It takes time. Like I've been doing this now, Adrian. I started my business. I was 26. I had my little garage in my brother's place. I was 27. You know, now I've been here for it's 4 years, almost 5 years now. And you know, it's like, it takes time. You know, it takes time to build things. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. You know, I had a trainer once call me and she wanted to ask questions. You know, like how to get into the business and this and that, and you know. And she's like, oh, like how many years you've been doing this? You know. And I was like, oh, I've been doing this for 6-7 years. And she's like, oh my God, all that? And I'm like, yeah, what, you think I built a gym in 1 year? Like, it doesn't work like that. Whatever that is great takes time. Apple wasn't built overnight. Microsoft wasn't built overnight. You know, Tesla wasn't built overnight. You know, there's stories of Elon Musk sleeping in his factories, you know, in the first couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, from the pressure and, you know, they couldn't build enough Teslas to sell them, you know, but it's like, come on, man. You know, people today, they want the quick fixes. You know, I don't like a song, I change the song on my phone. I don't like the episode, I change the episode. But it's like, it doesn't work like that. In entrepreneurship, it's like, think about it as a video game. And like every step, there's a new skill that you need to learn in order to get to the other step. It's great. And I see it with my job. I've seen it a lot in the last year from me going from giving every single class to now like delegating classes. Like, and now start to train my trainers, which was something that I used to only train people, but now I'm training people to do what I do and to give the same service as I do, which is not easy because you take a long time to build a way of doing things, or a way of giving classes, because people here come to my gym, they pay a certain price. Is it the most expensive membership? No. Is it the cheapest? No, 100%. But there's a service that comes with that. And my employees have to know that there's a service that comes with that. And if they don't, well, there's a problem. Because that is the standard that I have. And I'm sorry, standards are important, okay? And people think of people that have standards as people that are too rigid. But in order for you to have success, you have to have certain standards. And I think that, you know, it's a long process. It's a long process. I wasn't always the person I am today. I think sometimes clients, they see me and they're like, oh my God, like you're only 33. Like I thought you were older and you're very mature. And it's like, yeah, I've matured because I've had a business and I've dealt with people that were, you know, that were nice. Some people that were maybe not so nice, different personalities. You have to adapt. And also as the business grows, you get a certain type of clientele that expect a bit more, you know, encadrement, in English.
Like structure.
Structure, you know, they're expecting more structure, expecting more services. So you need to be able to, you know, you need to be able to bring up your game in order to keep these clients. And, you know, for example, I'm not going to name the gym or the person, but I had let's say a competitor that he had about 6 or 8 of his clients that he used to have are now training at my gym, right? And I don't understand how this guy lost these clients, because they're amazing. They're amazing clients. They have big hearts. They're hard workers. You know, they're amazing. And I don't understand how he lost these clients. But then when you ask them what happened and you learn, and I'm not going to talk about this on the podcast because it's not worth, the details are not worth it, but you learn, you're like, okay, You see how when you become cocky, when you forget about humility, and you disregard your clients, what can happen, So that is a lesson that's always in my mind, because I would never want, and it's rare, to be honest with you, that one of my clients leaves Full Body and goes to another gym and tells me, yeah, they offer better service there. I've never had it so far. Most clients, they come here, they stay, and then when they leave, that's when they learn, holy shit, I was actually very well served at Full Body, which is what we want ultimately.
Yo, that's I can see it. Like, every time I come, people love the gym. They like you.
Yeah, it's
clearly you're doing something right.
Yeah, exactly. But Adrian, like, you work with me now. You see me on social media. You see the grind, right? And it's like, for sure, it's an unbelievable feeling. I feel super grateful. I take myself every morning to wake up, even though sometimes I could wake up, I could be like, oh, groggy from the day before or whatnot. I think, it's very important, in this process of entrepreneurship, and not even entrepreneurship, just getting better as a person, for you to stop and look back at where you came from. And that's something, even for me as an entrepreneur, I don't do enough. I don't stop sometimes to look back and say, I'm complaining about this today, but 2 years ago, this was not even available.
Yo, I'm in the same position. Like, I remember just now I'm getting a lot of gigs, a lot of work, and I'm like, oh man, I have to manage this, that. And then I'm like, I remember a couple months ago, not even years, a couple months ago, and I was like, man, that's the problem, like, past me would want to have. Like, what am I doing complaining, right? It's
hard because human beings are such animals of the present, right? We live so much in the moment, which is a good thing, right? That's how it should be. But we often forget where we came from and the struggles that we had in the past. It's like, nowadays, it's like, I sit sometimes, I'm like, I get pissed sometimes at my employees, for not coming in, or, whatever it is. And I laugh because I'm like, 2 years ago, I had no employees. You know what I mean? Like, and I complain to my employees today, and it's like, dude, 2 years ago, I was doing every single class here. And now it's like, it's changed, it's evolved for the better. But it's taking that time to remember, and entrepreneurs are very hard on ourselves, which is an important element, I think, for success. You need to be your own hardest critic, but you also need to learn how to give yourself a pat in the back. You also need to learn how to celebrate the milestones. You also need to learn to enjoy money, because, like, if you are making money, like, enjoy it. Like, don't, like, obviously restrict yourself on certain things, don't be stupid with your money, don't go spending it, invest a percentage and whatnot. That, by the way, is all available in our investment workshop that was done 3 weeks ago here. But
link in the description down below.
Yes, exactly. And so it's like, yeah, man, it takes time. You need to learn different skills. You need to continue growing. You need to also give yourself pats in the back whenever you do grow, and to not be so self-critical, because I know so much entrepreneurs, it's like, if you're not satisfied when you made $100,000, you won't be satisfied when you make $1 million. And if you're not satisfied when you make $1 million, you won't be satisfied when you make $1 billion. So you need to enjoy the process too,
Yeah, because I think, by the way, this what we just talked, I call it suffering from success.
Yeah.
Like DJ Khaled said.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a balance you need to have between what you just said, enjoying the moment, giving yourself a pat on the back, and being happy with what you've done, but also keep moving forward. Because sometimes people, and it happened to me, I'm sure it probably happened to you at some point, where you're so happy with what you did, you kind of stopped a bit.
No, it's never happened. It's never happened to me. Like, how do you say? There are moments during the year. By the way, guys, there's a big special that's coming for summer. It's a special that we do every summer. So we have this special coming pretty soon, right? So after that special, I can start relaxing a bit, because that's like the big special for the summer. So there's always, like, because we know it, right? Like every business, there's high moments, low moments. Now we're getting to the lowest moment of the year, which is summer, right? Which is like July, August. Most of my clients are on vacation. There's a bit of a dip when it comes into, which is normal. It's nothing to be crazy about, but I'm never satisfied, because, I've seen it too many times throughout history It could have been with conquerors. It could have been with celebrities. It could have been with, whatever it is.
They get too comfortable.
They always come, like, they get too comfortable. It could be, as simple as an artist coming out with the same type of genre music, never challenging himself. Or it can be it could be an entrepreneur that's had the same kind of, he's had the same format for years, never changed his format up. Or it could be a mechanic, never learning, how to fix a now electrical car, which is becoming more popular. You need to continue evolving too. You need to learn. You need to keep getting new skills too. You need to keep growing, always, and being satisfied, but not becoming overly satisfied. Because if you become overly satisfied, you're always going to be like, well, I'm perfect. I don't need to get better. Like there's a famous mindset by Rickson Gracie, which is one of the most famous jiu-jitsu artists of all time.
Probably the best of all time.
Probably the best of all time. He said it like, no matter what, always remain a white belt. And I think for me, like, this guy is like the ultimate black belt. Like, he's like, top of the food chain in terms of his accomplishments, in terms of his ranking and stuff. And he's still in his mind. He goes to seminars and young kids are like, hey, we've been practicing this move. What do you think about it? And he's like amazed. He's like, whoa, I never saw that. Oh, I never thought about that. Oh, and he's like 60 years old now, right? And he knows it all. And he's still amazed and he's still learning and he's still growing, which I think is really, really, it's really the type of mindset that you need in order to have success. And that's why he was and that's why he's such a great champion, was because of that,
Oh yeah.
Like you can't develop that championship mindset by thinking that you're the best. Like, I think for you to become a real champion, you need to have confidence. You need to also learn that you're not at your ultimate level.
Yeah, that's where the balance we were talking earlier comes in, where you need, because sometimes if you're too hard on yourself, it also gets your confidence down, so the whole thing
that's
comes
it
down.
You need to there's this coach that coaches the Tampa Bay Lightning. His name is Cooper, but I forgot his first name. He said in an interview, famous interview, when he was hired, the GM, which is Julien Brisebois, he was asked a question. He's like, why do you think he was there? Because he came out of nowhere. I think he was like the coach in the AHL or something like that. And he asked him like, there were so many good people to coach your team. Why did you choose him? He goes, well, yeah, I think he has the perfect mentality for the job, the perfect mindset. And the interview said, what do you mean? What's his mindset? He goes, he's never too high. He's never too low. He always keeps a middle ground, And if you've seen, since he's hired him, he's won 3 cups in the last 8 years? You know what I mean? So it's like, there you go. That's the type of mentality that you need to have. Never get too high, never get too low. When you have success, be happy about it. Don't start screaming on the streets. And when you have bad moments, well, refocus and dial in,
Yeah, learn what you did wrong.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
For entrepreneurs, especially when you're at the beginning, actually.
Yeah.
So, there's a fine line between you're starting something and you're doing something and you're not seeing success, right? So there's 2 things that are happening.
Right.
Well, one of 2 things is happening. Either just be patient, right? And keep going. It's normal. It's part of the process. Or you're in the wrong field. You should recalibrate and do something else. How can you tell which is which?
Well, I like to have, it's very important to you to have deadlines. I think deadlines are really underestimated. I think whenever you do something, you always have to have different deadlines. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, right? So in the case of a new entrepreneur that starts something and he doesn't see immediate results, I would tell him to wait, okay? But wait doesn't mean you have to wait 10 years, right? I would say if in 6 months to a year span, you haven't seen any growth, any somewhat growth, then you really have to recalculate your things. Now, I will say also that, like I mentioned before, it takes time for you to build something, but you still need to see the potential and somewhat of growth, right? So I can't imagine opening a bigger gym if I would have only 20 clients, right? It's the same process. When I went from my garage to this gym here that you see here today, it's because I got to a point when I had 30 members and I said, with these 30 members, I can pay a rent, right? Of a commercial rent, which for what I was looking for was anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000. So I knew I could pay rent. That's when I made the move. But before that, I did not make the move. And I wasn't saying, oh my God, I haven't moved yet, so I'm failing. No, it's just that I was hoping for more growth. Then when the growth came, I made the decision. But you know, you gotta take your time. You gotta be patient, but to a certain degree. And like I mentioned before, loving what you do is gonna help you a lot, having that patience. Now, if, on the other hand, for example, for me, if I would be doing tiles, for example, okay? And I would start my business, and I hate tiles, but I'm doing it because, it's good money. I saw that on TikTok. It's good money.
What did you say?
Tiles, like putting up tiles?
Oh, tiles.
Ceramics
tiles,
or tiles
okay.
or ceramics
Gotcha.
or whatever. So if I would start that business and I would see there's no growth and I don't like it, well, you don't have to continue. Stop at 6 months. But you have to give an honest effort too. I think that's what I'm saying. It's important that you like what you do and you love what you do, because if you're not loving what you do, you won't give an honest effort, because for you it's just about money. And when it's just about money, like, I believe that Apple, obviously, I believe that Steve Jobs loved money to a certain degree, but he also loved the idea of introducing something that was revolutionary, which is a lot more motivating, than just saying, well, it's about making millions. That's not motivating, to a certain degree, but it can be all.
Right. And what you said is pretty cool. The deadline. You take it instead of like kind of leave it like in the void or, in a subjective area. Mm-hmm. You put it like, okay, 6 months, what have we done so far?
Well, when you go see a business coach, one of the first things they make you do is make you do deadlines. I'm not a business coach, but I followed a lot of I'm not a business coach, but I followed a lot of business training at university in online and stuff. And one of the first things that if you go see a business coach, he's gonna make you do, Adrian, is, okay, this is what you have to do. You have to get 10 clients, 10 members. You have 3 months. Then you have 6 months. And then they're always making deadlines for you to continue to go, because you need objectives. And if you don't get your objectives, well, you have to look. Is it the way I'm doing it? Am I doing enough? Right? Because that's often something that we forget. We think, oh yeah, I did one post this week, it should be enough. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to be posting regularly. You need to be posting regularly. I have social media, I have Instagram, I have TikTok, and I have YouTube. And whenever you send me a video, I post it on the 3 platforms. And it's like, you need to always be, you need to be working hard, but you need to be working efficiently too, and you have to have deadlines and objectives, because if you don't have deadlines and objectives, you don't know if you're growing, you don't know if you're not growing, you don't know what's your goals, you don't know, like, you'll just be like kind of like on the feelings, I think I'm doing good. I went from 2 clients to 4 clients. Okay, but in 1 year, it's not doing good, Right. You need to, if you would have gone to 15, 20 clients, okay, that's because the person doesn't have a deadline, and doesn't have structure, doesn't have goals. Goals attached to deadlines are very powerful.
Right. And so in this example, let's say in a year, right? You haven't seen too much progress. That's when you would switch ships, or even before that?
Like I mentioned, again, it depends on how much you love it. If you really love what you do and you're saying, listen, I'm giving myself a 2-year commitment on this and I'll see where it takes me, then fine. But you need to see some sort of growth, or at least some sort of potential of growth, Maybe not the growth is there in terms of numbers, but the potential of growth is there, It's like, if you open a car wash place, right? And you open a car wash place and you haven't seen a lot of growth, but you know that in this particular neighborhood that you built, your car wash place, there's a lot of new families which have a lot of new cars, and that the potential, because you're the only one that's there, of growth is there, then just remain and just be patient. But then it depends on you as a person, what your deadline is. Are you willing to put up 2 years? But I think like 6 months to a year should give you enough idea of where you're going. But it's not all. Like how, I know a lot of people that first year they haven't seen almost no growth, but they saw the potential of growth, which kept them there. And then the second year, it exploded. It depends. Every person is different.
Yeah. So like having something that you're passionate about is very important too.
For sure, because that's what's gonna keep you going when shit's gonna hit the fan. Because it always hits the fan. Like, listen, I recently, recently let go an employee, which wasn't an easy thing to do, which was one of my first employees to let go. And now I'm doing like her hours, which was something that I wasn't doing for like 3-4 months, right? And it's not easy because then it's like, okay, I have to do all these more hours and stuff. But now it's an opportunity for me to learn how to hire new people and to hire new perspectives and, to get a better employee and know more what I want now as an employee and what is my standard. So, yeah, you need to always look at life as an opportunity. It's like I've tried to change my language a lot around certain things. Instead of saying it's going bad or it's hard right now, you say, well, right now we have an opportunity. Because that's all it is. It's really opportunities for growth, but you got to see it like that.
Yeah, like you never lose. You're winning or you're learning.
Exactly, but it's because we're too focused on the goal and not the destination. And the destination is what's going to bring you to the goals. Like, let's say you want to travel to Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, right? Well, if you don't take the plane, which is part of the transport and the journey, well, you won't get there, your destination. So you make sure that plane has gas and it has proper fuel and has the proper equipment and whatnot. So you need to equip yourself, you need to get better, and you just focus on the growth, even when things go bad. Things go bad, which is the hardest part, is to focus on the positive when things are bad.
Speaking of that, like the plane and traveling, do you know a guy called Tim Ferriss?
Yes, Tim Ferriss. Yes, I know him.
He's doing podcasts.
Yes. It's like a philosopher, no? A bit?
Sort of,
modern day philosopher, yeah.
Yeah. And he said something pretty interesting. He said, I don't know if it was him, but anyway, he said that you got to really focus on the journey and not really on the destination, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, like you said, vacation. You plan a trip to Cuba. You're like, I can't wait to go to Cuba. You go to Cuba and then you're already saying like, we can't wait to come back.
Yeah.
Like the destination is just one thing and then it's over. Like,
and often you notice that people they get, for example, you go on a trip, they get so excited before the trip, oh my God. And then when you're at the airport, you're at your peak, right? You're like, everybody's excited and you're all there. And then you get to the country and you go through customs and then you get to the first day, second day, wow, it's amazing. Third day, a bit less amazing. Fourth day, and there's poverty, there's this problem, oh my God, people. And then fifth, sixth, and then seven, you're like, okay, I can't wait to go back. And then you go back. And it's like, what happened there? Well, what happened was that people got too focused with the goal and they forgot it's the destination is what makes it fun,
For sure.
Not destination, the journey. Sorry.
And it's funny because we as people, we get used to things pretty easily. Because I was talking with my friends yesterday. Let's say you're an astronaut. You go in space, you do like spacewalks, stuff like that. People are like, oh man, that is so cool. Mm-hmm. If you do it a lot, you get used to it.
For sure.
And let's say like you're an astronaut and then you see me who has, I don't know, like a nice car, right? And then you're like, you the astronaut, you're like, oh man, you got such a nice car.
Yeah.
This is what I want. But then I would be like, man, you go to space, like this is way cooler, So
yeah, exactly.
You get used to what you do pretty easily.
Yeah, you get used to what you do pretty easily. And I have clients tell me all the time, oh my God, Bryan, you're amazing, you're this, and you forget it sometimes, because you're so in it. You're like, who cares? You're just so in it. And like I said, I'm my toughest critic. Like I know that 100%. And like that's why, like when people tell me, obviously as a coach, I push my clients and my members, and I call them my students. I don't call them my clients. I call them my students. I push my students to become the best version of themselves. And Adrian, diamonds are made with pressure. right? So I pressured them to push themselves to become better. Not just physically, but mentally too, because the mental is what's going to bring you to the ballpark, you know? And that sometimes has resistance. And then I could get to sometimes to fights with clients that are like, they get pissed at me because I tell them, hey, where the hell were you last week? You know? And it's tough because people are like, oh, you know, but it's like, but that's a part of the process. You know, it's a part of the growing up. Like if you want to get to the next level, then you have to be consistent, not just at your job, but at everything you do in life. Because the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
For sure.
You know?
And a lot of times, like the example you just said with a client, I used to have it with my dad when I was playing hockey as a kid.
Okay.
He would tell me like, okay, like, we gotta go to practice, right? And I'm like, oh man, I'm playing video games with my friends. And he'd be like, no, we gotta go. So I went, and you know, as a kid, you don't really understand that much. You're like, oh, this guy's forcing me to go to do that thing, right? But then, well, a lot of times after the practice, I'd be like pretty happy I went, right? And now as I'm older, I really understand like the value of, it's hard now, but when you look back, you will be super happy you did it.
It's a discipline, man. You know, it's the discipline behind sports and the consistency, which is often underrated. Like Ronaldo said in a famous interview, it was actually not very long ago, it was actually this weekend, he did a podcast by a company called Whoop, which is like a...
Oh, the Whoop straps?
Yeah, I don't know if I think it's the same thing. Well, they have a podcast too. And it's like, it details like your input, output in terms of fitness, like how much...
The thing you put around your waist, or?
It must be that. I don't know what it is. And he was basically saying, he was like, the guy was saying like, hey, you know, Ronaldo, Cristiano, you have 43 heartbeats a minute heart rate, you know? That's your 43, it's very low. You're in the 0.1% percentile, like, you know, how did you do it? You know, it's like, and Ronaldo said, you know, Cristiano, he's like, I give you guys everything. I tell you guys how I eat. I tell you guys that I take cold showers in the morning, that I train 6 days a week, that I eat like this, that I sleep like this, that. Everything is there. You guys just gotta follow through, you know, which is what people don't often do. You know, it's like I tell my clients all the time, my students, when they have success, I tell them, they're like, oh my God, thank you, coach. And I'm like, no, don't thank me, thank yourself, because I brought the plan, but you followed the plan, which is what we should do, you know. But, you know, for lack of, you know, mental strength or, you know, personality types and stuff, some people, unfortunately, never get there. They never get there because they lack discipline and they lack hard work. And that's why I say that fitness is a great gateway for you to develop not that technique, but that mindset, you know, of resilience, consistency, you know, which is what you need in discipline, what you need to have success. You know, I'm telling you, like, I see it with my best clients here, my clients that are the ones that are always on time, that train consistently. I look at their careers and what they do in life, and often, Adrian, they're very high level what they do. You know, if, for example, if I see a girl, she could be even just like a manicurist, right? She does nails, you know. But I'm telling you, she's one of the best because the way she works here at the gym.
Yeah.
It's a trait that's in everything. You cannot like be consistent at the gym and training hard at the gym and then going home and sleeping all day. It doesn't happen like that. It's a trait that's passed down throughout everything, you know, and that's why I believe in it as a gateway to success. I think fitness is a gateway to success, and people don't want to believe it because they don't want to go through the struggle of lactic acid buildup and, you know, doing something that they're not good at and stuff. But the benefits you get from that, like you know, when your dad telling you no, you have to go to practice, that's discipline. That is, you know, being a person of your word, saying to your, you know, teammates, listen, we have practice, everybody's going to show up. Adrian, not because he's the best player, he's not going to show up, he has to show up. I think that's very underrated. I think kids need that. So like for me, for somebody to tell me, oh yeah, but fitness is not all. It's not all in life. It isn't all. But it's definitely something, you know.
Oh yeah, and you see it now in these modern day entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
They're all into fitness.
Yeah, what's his name? bald guy he sells cars.
The jacked dude.
Yeah.
I forgot his name, but he always has like a little mic and does speeches.
Yeah,
right?
and he's like in the smallest of shorts.
Yeah.
You know, he was saying in his podcast, obviously this is a bit intense, you know, as a mindset, but he was like telling people in his podcast, he was like, listen, I won't hire somebody if doesn't have a six pack. And everybody's like, I was like, okay, you know. But then he explained it and I was like, okay, I understand the mindset behind it. Because he's like, if you don't take care of yourself, how can you want to take care of my company?
Right.
You know? Now, the six pack, I think it's a bit exaggerated, but I think what he meant to say is, if you're out of shape and not taking care of your body, how can you take care and be the best at my business and what I'm looking for?
Correct.
It's true. And it's so true because being overweight is not just about being overweight. It's also about how do you see yourself mentally, you know? How is this, and when you think about yourself, is this the way you look at yourself? Because one of the reasons why I would never be able to put on weight is because it's impossible for me in my head to see myself being a larger guy, you know?
For sure.
For lack of other words, you know? And I said to do with weight loss because, listen, I respect every person's different body types and stuff, but it's like I would not be apt and I would not be possible. And you know, when you take care of your body, energetically, you become on a higher vibration. And then, like I told you with that story of the guy that I met when I was 15 years old, right? He didn't talk. He wasn't the loudest guy there. But his body has so much presence and so much beauty that you cannot take that away from him. You see that guy's body and you're like, damn, this guy's putting in the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you see a guy that has a killer body, what do you say to yourself? Are you just going to say to yourself, oh, he has a killer body? You're going to say, fuck. Inherently, you know, like, damn, this guy's putting in the time. Right? Which demands respect. And if you have respect in life, you have everything, you know?
100%.
You know?
And, that's why fitness is such a, like you said, a good gateway to success. Because it's the same idea. It's the same.
Whatever you know, if you lose weight and you get into shape and you get stronger and you get more endurance and you start building up power and you start being more explosive and you start, you know, getting your six pack and stuff. Well, all that comes from what? Hard work, consistency, discipline, you know, those three ingredients. Take them out of fitness, put them in anything you do in life and you'll have success. You know, it's that's why I believe today it's one of the last things that is left that you cannot buy. You can go online and buy a movie online. You don't even have to go to the store anymore. You can go online and buy groceries online. You don't even have to go to the grocery store anymore. You can go online and learn online. Instead of going to Harvard, you can actually take certification classes, diplomas of Harvard online. But you cannot do that with fitness.
For sure.
You can't get a rocking body by just looking at people train. You cannot get a rocking body by just buying it. You need to work for it. And that work is what's going to propulse you forward.
There are no cheats or this one trick.
No, there's no one trick, you know.
That's
why there's a famous quote. I forgot who said this quote. I think it was maybe Arnold that said, the best workout program, the best diet plan is the one you stick to.
For sure.
That's it. There's no secret. You know, I have clients, you know, sometimes students of mine that they're looking for the miracle way of losing weight. So they go on these diets. I had one client going to a carnivore diet, another client going to, you know, a water-based diet and this and that. Yes, for sure you can lose weight.
What is water-based diet?
So just like drinking smoothies and stuff and not like hard food and stuff, right? Liquids, yeah. And it's just a liquid diet. Anyways, and it's like, yes, you're going to get results, but can you commit to that long term? Which is often more than not, no, they can't commit to it long term because it's too hard on the psyche of the client. So I don't believe in these famous diets. I don't believe in these things that say don't do this, don't do that. I believe in consistency, and I believe in sticking to what you do, and then you'll have success, you know?
Bro, yeah. There's no... I guess it depends, like, in the diets, there, like, some people have some tendencies to do better with certain diets, but yeah, omnivore, like the classic stuff, it's probably the best.
Yeah, listen,
It's how we've been always.
Yeah, you can get away by eating lean meats, fish, veggies and fruits, man. And you can. We just did a paleo diet plan, which is paleolithic diet plan, which is the removal of grains, bread, seed oils, and refined foods. So like you transform foods. I had a client, Adrian, that lost 16 pounds in 1 month. Okay, this is and she was
1 night.
1 month.
Okay.
No.
I was like, whoa.
That would be something.
I'll do it right now.
Really dramatic, yeah. 10 of the best clients from that challenge. There were 25 clients. The 10 best together lost over 50 pounds. And it's like they didn't kill themselves. All they did was remove grains and remove transformed foods, and that's all it took. And they had amazing success with it. So it's like they just stuck to it. And I think that's the most important thing.
Brian will be right back. There's this door there.
Yes, sorry.
Keeps moving.
There you go.
But yeah, and about diets, and I want to get into that. Since
For sure.
You're a naturopath, right?
Yes.
What is that exactly?
So naturopath is a I don't want to say a doctor, is a physician that is focused on nutrition and vitamins and natural remedies in order for you to heal from the inside. So what we do as naturopaths is that we recommend certain herbs, vitamins, and minerals to clients to help them remove or help deal with certain illnesses and diseases.
So you're kind of like a natural pharmacist.
Yeah, exactly that. So for example, if I have a client that's dealing with weight loss issues, right? They tell me, Brian, so it's a whole process, right? So we have, as a naturopath, the consultation is completely free. Somebody can sit down with me. The members here are free. Outside it's not free, but you speak to me for an hour, and then I go through a series of questions, right? So if you tell me, okay, I have a hard time losing weight. So number one factor is, how's your digestion? So if they tell me, well, Brian, my digestion not very good. I go to the washroom once a week, which is red flags. Then I'm gonna ask them, okay, how do you eat? Like, what's a typical day for you? Well, more often than not, you're gonna notice that they don't eat fruits, they don't eat veggies. Their bread is oftentimes white bread, okay? So they're not getting their prebiotics either. So when you notice, you look at the diet and you can see that it's not an adequate diet for a person that wants to lose weight, right? So what we will do as a naturopath is first and foremost, try to fix environmental problems. So we're gonna say, remove these things, eat fruits, eat vegetables. Probably make them do like a diet plan or a guide of foods to eat and stuff. Then if the issue persists, we can recommend them from there vitamins and minerals and herbs that can help with the improvement of digestion. So things like probiotics, prebiotics, certain herbs that can help with the digestion. That's if the problem is digestion. But the way it works is that we become basically investigators. And when some client comes to me and tells me that they have hormonal issues, they have to ask a series of questions in order to really. And then after that, Adrian, some clients you can recommend them things, minerals to take and whatnot, and the problem can still persist. So then you have to come back and you have to assess again. You have to assess again until you find the problem. I had a client for the longest time that she had a hard time losing weight, and she was training 4 or 5 times a week. She was eating decently well. So I was like, how come she has a hard time losing weight, Got to talking, and then it felt that she was sleeping 5 hours a night. She couldn't sleep more than that. So I'm like, okay, well, that's a big problem, because if you can't sleep, you can't lose weight because your body's in a very stressed environment. So I told her, I said, have you ever tried magnesium biglycinate? So she's like, no, I never tried magnesium. So magnesium, it's a mineral that's found in most foods. The problem is that it's a mineral, nuts and meats mostly. The problem with magnesium is that magnesium, because our soils are so poor now, that the trace of magnesium is getting lower and lower as the years go by, because our foods have lower and lower mineral contents. Okay, if you look at a kiwi 100 years ago, had 46 times more vitamin C than it has today. So, wow, you can imagine. So then the client, I recommended her magnesium. She started taking magnesium, 2 pills a day before go to sleep. And normally we give a high dosage in the beginning because we're trying to fix the problem right away, right? So this would last 6 weeks to 8 weeks. We give her that, and then she starts sleeping like a baby. She started telling me right away, oh my God, I'm sleeping like a baby. And then the month after, she lost like 5 pounds. So it's like nothing changed, but we helped her fix that environmental issue, which was sleep. And sleep brings up cortisol if you're not, eating, because you're not getting enough sleep, you're not getting enough rest. So your body's in a constant state of stress, so it doesn't want to lose weight. So give her magnesium, and it fixed that. So that's what we do as naturopaths. We're like investigators, like health detectives. Yeah, exactly.
Man, that's nice.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier for the paleo diet, you talked about grains.
Right.
Is rice considered grains?
Rice is considered a grain, but rice is considered a grain that is quite healthy, because rice, if you know it, there's one ingredient, it's rice. Okay, which is, and me personally as a naturopath, I don't care if it's white rice, I don't care if it's brown rice. Obviously, brown rice is a bit healthier because it's the most natural form, but it tastes like shit. Like if you look at brown rice versus white rice, man, come on, like don't tell me that brown rice is better than brown rice. So, I would just tell clients, listen, eat the white rice if you like it, buy it, obviously like in the good state, like something like basmati rice is a very good quality rice. But no, it's a good grain, and if your body can digest, it all depends on a person's genome. I'm not the biggest fan of rice, because I feel like when I eat rice, I get very tired. But some other person that's maybe from an Asian descent, okay, can eat rice and not become tired. It depends on your genetics. But I'm pretty sure that I can eat meat a lot more than a person that comes from maybe Southeast Asia, because my body, throughout generations in Europe, it becomes cold during winter. So people, what they do, they eat meat. That's why Europeans can eat a lot more meat than Africans, for example. Look at the stats when it comes to heart disease in North America. If you look at the people that are the most affected, it's most often not African Americans. And the reason for that, besides them eating always like stereotypically
bad food,
bad food, fried chicken and stuff, because normally they come from bad environments. It's also because you're eating excess amounts of meat, right? And that excess amounts of meat, it depends on your genome. Not everybody can eat excessive amounts of meat.
Well, could it be like you said, excessive amount of meat, or is it excessive amount of bad meat? Because if you look at the Maasais in Africa, they only eat meat.
Right.
And so that's what because you see a lot of people, they're like, oh, there's the study that red meat brings cancer, right?
Right.
But yeah, what's that red meat? McDonald's?
Yeah.
Like, it's shit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or and what do they have next to that burger? They also have fries. They also have a smoothie or a milkshake or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it the meat the problem? Meat in general, because you see a lot of guys, famously Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah,
he eats mainly meat and he's a good performer.
Listen, always it depends on the quality, guaranteed 100%. But we do see correlations between meat in certain populations and cancer risk or heart disease, So I'm not going to be here and be biased and say meat over anything and whatnot. The quality is very important. Getting grass-fed meat is very, very important versus getting meat that's fed with corn, right? But if you look at different populations, they've been eating a certain way for millennia, for hundreds of years. So they developed proper enzymes in order to be able to digest these things. And we know when we see it, Europeans have an easier time eating meats and processing meats than you would see with Africans or Latinos, for example. However, Latinos and Africans can eat a lot more grains and not have the similar effect or the big drop of sugar as Europeans. You can also look at, for example, people that live in Nunavut or people that live in north of Canada or Alaska, these Aboriginal tribes that eat only seal, right? When they started introducing Western foods, so like the pastas and the bread and stuff, their population became decimated or became, heavily affected by, heart disease and diabetes, all these things. And all these things correlates to what? It's the food that changed in the last years to them. They were eating seal and caribou for a amount of years, almost no fruits, almost no vegetables. And they were doing super well on it. But when they started introducing grains and fruits and vegetables,
the bodies didn't know what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, there's nothing more true than that. So you have to also look at your genetics and where you come from. It's very important. Like in Portugal 100 years ago, I have to ask myself, was there rice? Or can we leave little traces of rice? Was there seal? Oh no, there was no seal. So maybe eating seal would not be the best thing for you can be. My body does not to recognize it. But if I was from Aboriginal descent and I was living in Nunavut, well, I would like to stay eating seal because that's what's going to give me energy. And I know that the population has thrived from that,
It's funny because I had this exact talk with a friend recently. And one thing I was wondering, now, like you said, there's foods like if I want an orange, I can get an orange, even if I'm like in Montreal where oranges can be grown. Like, how much time do you think it takes for your body to kind of like acclimate itself?
Good question. Well, I know that when it comes into a new environment, so like for example, if I ship you to Asia right now, right? It would take you anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks to your body starting to adapt. So for foods, if you can, because there's no actual research that says that you can adapt to foods and stuff, because most people can eat foods without having an issue. But I would say about the same thing, 2 to 3 weeks. Like for example, if you go to, like I went to Brazil recently, right? Everybody was freaking out because everybody was always eating rice and beans. Oh my God, rice and beans again. Oh my God, rice and beans again. But you see, like the first week if you eat rice and beans, well, you're going to start having gas issues and going to the washroom more often than not. But then after the second week,
you're good.
It depends on your body. But I would say for your body to get adapted to a certain way of eating, 2 to 3 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad. It really depends on your age too, right? If you're a young person, 2 weeks is tops. If you're an older person, maybe the digestion, or if they eat a certain way, like if you're eating a vegetarian-based diet and you're 60 years old, 70 years old, you've been eating like this for 20 years. Well, if I bring you to Brazil and I start making you eat meat with beans and fried, and you're gonna get sick. Like you're gonna get super sick, So it depends on your age too. There's a lot. That's what's really crazy about nutrition is that it's always evolving. The same research I can show you today that proves this, in 5 years I can find another research that's gonna disapprove what I just showed you. So it's like it's always evolving. It's always a revolving door of new ideas and new ways of doing things, and it's always evolving. So it really depends on what you can tolerate. It depends on what foods work for you. You have to understand what foods work for you. Like, I love eating like in the morning. Like, I was the type of guy in university used to do like, overnight oats. So I would do overnight oats over there. But
overnight oats?
Yeah, overnight oats. It's like you put in a little mason jar. You put oats. You put almond milk or oat milk. You put peanut butter. You put protein powder. You mix that up. And the next morning you wake up, you put that in the microwave for 2-3 minutes, and there it is. Voila.
Wow.
It's like,
never heard of that.
Yeah. It's really nice. It's really good. The texture is really good. The problem is that, oats are good for certain people, but for certain people, it's not crazy good. It depends on your genetics. Once again, I'm the type of person that I would eat oats in university like every day. But every day I would eat it, I would become tired from it, But then when I started experimenting and be like, okay, let's swap the oats for like two eggs, 1 toast, whole grain toast, maybe half an avocado. And I saw my level of energy being completely different. getting a more of a boost of energy, more clarity of mind, more focus, and no like drop, which I would get when I would eat oats, even though it's a staple of food,
Right.
because oats is like, everybody's like oats, so good for you. Depends on your genetics, man.
Yeah.
Like my brother can eat pasta and he has no problem with it. He doesn't get tired. I eat pasta and I just want to go sleep,
Oh yeah, I'm the same.
You see, so it's like if you feel that same way, Adrian, is because you should be eating more meats and lean vegetables. That's my brother. If he eats meats, he's gonna be super tired. He's gonna be like, he can't eat meat before he goes to play a hockey game.
Oh, for sure.
He's gonna be bloated. He's not gonna feel. But me, I digest meat super quickly. If you give me meat, give me 3 minutes, an hour, and I'm.
You know how I see with nutrition, and especially now with internet, where you see like a lot of opinions, which is a good thing because it's not centralized.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to filter out more.
Oh
who's
man,
right and
it's
wrong.
crazy, and I feel bad for people that see this information, because I've been lucky enough. I've been in this game for a long time, so I tried so many different diet plans and so many different ways. I was even vegan for 6 months, back with an ex of mine, and she pushed me to it, and I was like, okay, let's start doing it. And so I tried it all, and I can tell you, like, try it all until you find what works for you.
Yeah.
Food has to become instinctive. One thing I tell people all the time is when you eat, try to not be surrounded by, laptops and TVs and stuff. Try to be really dialed into your food. When you eat it, like, be alone with your food, thank your food, and then see how your body reacts. Mm-hmm. If you feel energetic, good. What you ate works good for you. If you feel tired afterwards, then it's not good for you. Then you have to see what's in that plate that didn't make you feel good. Was it the excess of meat? Was it the excess of grains? Was it the excess of fats? Was it the excess of fruit? Who knows? You need to pay attention.
A lot of trial and error.
It's a lot of trial and error, man. If you even look at Mr. Olympia's and their ways of eating, right? Even though they had pretty much the same way of eating, they would do different food combinations and they would eat in certain different hours, and you have to find what works best for you. Like, I'm not saying that oats is not good for you, but maybe oats works best for me maybe pre-game, right? So maybe like if I eat oats like maybe 1 hour before a game, I'll have energy. But if I eat oats post-workout like I used to do it, I didn't feel good. Depends. You see, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's really trial and error, but you need to find out what works for you and what gives you energy.
And with all these nutritionists or whatever online, I try to find the common ground. So nobody will say, yeah, you should eat McDonald's every day. Nobody says that. So, that's like, okay, at least they all agree on something. So I'll take that.
You have to take and you have to let out. It's very important. Like I always tell my clients, you have to find out what works for you. That's why we do a lot of challenges here at the gym. We do a challenge every second or third month to push people to new ways of eating, of new ways of experimenting with your body, so we have one challenge. This summer's gonna be cold showers, and show people that like the benefits of cold showering. Like, it's something I've been doing for over 2 years now. I took one even this morning, and it's like there's so many benefits to that. But start off slow. But maybe for some people it's gonna be good. Some people it's not gonna be good. But you got to at least try it out to see. Something with foods. Like you may not, rice maybe not be the best carb for you. But maybe sweet potato is. And maybe sweet potato is maybe not the best carb for you, for some other person, but maybe rice is. So depends on your genetics and depends on you, right? There's 16 types of stomachs, Adrian. 16 types of stomachs. So like, like the forms of stomach, we always take it's like the same form with like the intestines, and you see the intestines and then you see the square. No, it doesn't look like that. Not everybody... there's 16 types of stomachs, so not every stomach is the same. So you need to find out what works for you, and after that experiment and then try other things, but try it all like I mentioned before, and then see from there.
Yeah. So we're an hour 20 in. That was time flies by fast, huh?
Yeah, man. Holy smokes.
But yeah, thank you very much for the podcast. It's been very insightful. I loved it, and we'll definitely do another one in the future.
Thank you so much, Adrian. And if I must say, congratulations on your continuation, because even since you started working with me. I've seen quite a growth in your business, and it's all because of your hard work and your consistency. So just keep it up. And for everybody looking to train at the best gym in Montreal and Canada and the world, okay, Full Body Athletics at 922 Cunard, okay. The first class is on the house. We also have a monthly trial package that you can try every class, up to 3 classes a week for 12 classes for the month at a reduced price. So if you want to come in and try it, you won't be disappointed. You'll love it, and that's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bryan.
Thank you so much.
So on that note, guys, unleash your inner warrior. AC out.